After 40 years of silence, Mike Tyson has finally revealed the truth about Bruce Lee, and what he said leaves absolutely everyone speechless. Stay until the end, because this revelation will completely change your vision of these two legends. Bruce Lee wasn't just a movie star, and what Mike Tyson discovered will shock you. So before continuing, take 2 seconds to click on the little blue thumb at the bottom of this video and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of explosive content about combat legends. Let's go! When Mike Tyson, the most explosive and feared man in all of boxing history, calls Bruce Lee a killer, these aren't just random words thrown around. No, it's a raw truth, forged in the fire of the ring and born from absolute respect between two warriors who seem to be complete opposites. For decades, Bruce Lee has been worshipped as a cinema icon by some and dismissed as just an actor by skeptics. But Mike Tyson, he always saw something else. Something much more dangerous, much more real. And for the first time in his life, he finally explains why he thinks this. Why now? Why speak after all this time? That's exactly what we're going to discover together in this video. Imagine for a moment these two icons on a collision course. Bruce Lee versus Mike Tyson. Two legendary names who never met, never fought, never even trained together. Yet, their names are constantly spoken in the same breath by fans around the world. For decades, combat sports enthusiasts have debated, argued, imagined. And Mike Tyson remained silent. Until today, in the world of combat, only a few rare names truly dominate history. Not just for their impressive victories, but for the revolutions they triggered in their discipline. Among them, two mythical figures stand out, representing different extremes but both having changed the combat landscape forever. On one side, Bruce Lee, the 140-pound visionary. On the other, Mike Tyson, raw power incarnate. Bruce Lee wasn't just an ordinary fighter. He was a true visionary. At only 140 pounds, slim, almost frail in appearance, what he lacked in raw strength, he compensated for tenfold in speed, precision, and above all revolutionary philosophy. Bruce Lee never accepted blind tradition. He broke it. He created Jeet Kune Do, a martial system that emphasizes fluidity and adaptability, with an almost scientific approach to combat. For his millions of fans around the world, he was the ultimate fusion of body and mind, a warrior philosopher whose influence extends far beyond the simple framework of combat. At the other extreme, Mike Tyson embodies everything that raw power can offer. The youngest heavyweight champion in history, a phenomenon forged in the ruthless streets of Brooklyn. Weighing over 220 pounds in his prime, Tyson was a destruction machine, a human dynamo who literally overwhelmed his opponents with thunderous blows, relentless aggression, and an intimidating aura that even made ring legends crack. His fights were brief, violent, but absolutely unforgettable. A pure demonstration of ruthless domination. The eternal debate has always fascinated the public. If their eras never crossed, the question still obsesses fans, professional fighters, and sports analysts today. Bruce Lee's unmatched speed, his brilliant strategy, his legendary adaptability, could it have withstood Mike Tyson's devastating storm of power? Or would the raw physicality of the most dangerous man on the planet have simply annihilated the martial arts legend? For years, this debate resonated in training halls, online forums, YouTube comment sections, late-night conversations in bars and barbershops. Each camp passionately defended their champion, but no definitive answer ever appeared. Until now. Today, at 58 years old, Mike Tyson finally breaks the silence. And what he revealed didn't simply close old debates. He completely demolished the myths. He forced a total reevaluation of both legacies. This wasn't sentimental nostalgia. This wasn't bragging to attract attention. It was raw truth, forged by experience, mutual respect between warriors, and the profound recognition that Bruce Lee was absolutely not an ordinary man. Bruce Lee's legacy is often misunderstood, especially by those who judge fighters only on their official victories, their recorded defeats, and their accumulated belts. Unlike Mike Tyson, whose career is engraved in gold with championship belts, an impressive official record, and globally recognized brutality, Bruce Lee never fought professionally. He never signed a contract to face an opponent in an official setting. His fights were never scored or timed by judges. His true battlefield was intangible, but infinitely more influential. His martial philosophy, his technical mastery, and the cultural revolution he triggered changed the world. Skeptics, especially in traditional combat circles, have often dismissed Bruce Lee as simply a charismatic showman. For them, the absence of an official record was a gaping flaw, proof that his reputation was built on myth and Hollywood spectacle, not on real fighting skill. They demanded tangible proof, official recorded victories, sanctioned fights. Bruce Lee didn't need them. He wasn't looking for them. Their vision was terribly limited, rooted in a system that values only measurable results at the expense of nuanced mastery and revolutionary innovation. But Mike Tyson's perspective was completely different. Tyson, a man forged in the ruthless crucible of professional boxing where every second counts and every mistake can be fatal, had a vision shaped by decades spent on the razor's edge. In grimy gyms, in packed arenas, bearing the physical and psychological weight of the sport's harshest realities. For Tyson, a fighter's value isn't measured only by the numbers written on paper, but by his movements, his mentality, his ability to defend ruthlessly while dismantling the opponent. When Mike Tyson looked at Bruce Lee, he saw far beyond the absence of official medals. He saw a fighter who had achieved something extremely rare, a mastery of movement so refined it seemed almost supernatural. Bruce Lee's ability to control space, to read his opponent's intentions before they even formed, to strike with lightning speed, all this was something Tyson respected at a visceral, primal level. It wasn't simply a matter of raw strength. It was absolute precision, perfect timing, the ruthless intelligence needed to finish a fight before it even really begins. And here's something few people know. Long before Mike Tyson's name resonated in arenas around the world, before the screaming crowds and photographers' flashes, there was a discreet, almost invisible influence that was already shaping the young fighter's style. A model engraved by a man from half a generation before him. Bruce Lee. Mike Tyson's childhood was a true whirlwind of chaos and severe discipline. In the hard streets of Brooklyn where survival demanded raw power, there was also in him a deep thirst for mastery, something that went far beyond simple physical strength. It was in the silence of his gym, after the noise of heavy bags had died down, that Tyson found himself mysteriously drawn to an unlikely source. Old VHS tapes in black and white, poor quality, crackling, showing Bruce Lee's lightning movements. Sitting on the floor, eyes glued to the screen, he absorbed everything. The incredible fluidity of the footwork, the surgical sharpness of the punches, the hypnotic rhythm of the attacks. Every gesture of Bruce Lee seemed to defy physics, as if his body moved faster than the human eye could follow. Tyson wasn't just absorbing pure technique. He was deeply absorbing the philosophy. Combat isn't just about muscles and power. It's flow, adaptability, instinct. Be like water, Bruce Lee said, a phrase that Tyson constantly kept in mind, especially in moments where brute aggression alone wasn't enough to win. The peekaboo style that Tyson perfected later in his career, with his constantly moving head, his gloves close to his cheeks, his sudden explosions of devastating power, directly echoed Bruce Lee's teachings on fluidity and unpredictability. It was a brilliant synthesis of raw violence and artistic movement, where offense and defense merged without visible seams. No one in Tyson's entourage really knew the extent of this secret influence. It was hidden under layers of youthful rage and public aggression. But it was clearly visible in the way Tyson's feet glided slightly before unleashing the thunder of his fists. For Mike, it was a silent tribute, a philosophical foundation that gave his blows not only raw power but also meaning, intention, combat awareness. Tyson's physique was forged in the furnace of pain. Years of relentless training, brutal discipline, ruthless environment. But the true profound transformation happened in his mind, where Bruce's teachings burned most intensely. Tyson wasn't just a boxer throwing random punches. He was a true student of combat philosophy, a thinker who analyzed every angle, every possibility. Bruce Lee's books sat on his bedside table, dog-eared and worn from repeated readings. He watched interviews, absorbed every available lesson, not simply out of blind admiration, but to arm himself with knowledge that extends far beyond the simple framework of the ring. What resonated most deeply with Tyson was Bruce Lee's brutal practicality. Lee didn't fight for chivalrous honor or for spectacular sport. He fought to survive, for maximum efficiency. One quote remained burned into Tyson's mind like a branding iron. Do maximum damage, then get out without being hurt. This wasn't hollow Hollywood bravado. It was a true code, a ruthless strategy combining lightning offense and evasive defense. Tyson internalized this principle to the depths of his being. He transformed his fights into true high-speed chess games. Each round became a test of crushing force, a shock and awe strategy designed to dismantle the opponent before they could even react properly. His blitzkrieg style, with his furious combinations launched in an instant, was a direct manifestation of Bruce Lee's doctrine. He didn't simply attack. He completely overwhelmed, crushed the very essence of resistance, broke the opponent's will, then disappeared before counterattacks. Despite the immense respect and profound admiration he had for Bruce Lee, Mike Tyson remained completely silent for years. This silence was neither uncertainty nor contempt. It was deeply rooted in the unspoken codes of the fighter's world, a universe where vulnerability is rarely displayed publicly, where public image can tip everything in an instant. Tyson's silence had several complex layers. On the surface, he was a warrior forged in the hardest crucibles. His name was synonymous with raw power, pure intimidation, relentless aggression. Showing philosophical sensitivity or admitting subtle influences could have been perceived as a crack in his armor, a softness that opponents or media critics would have immediately exploited. But the reality was much more complex and profound. Tyson carried within him an intimate understanding of Bruce Lee's legacy that went infinitely beyond flashy moves or spectacular cinematic movements. He recognized that Lee's martial arts weren't just physical, but constituted a true way of thinking, a code of mental discipline, fluidity, and strategic control. Lee's philosophy, "Be like water," resonated deeply with Tyson's evolving approach, not only in combat but also in life itself. The boxing world demanded a hardness measured in broken jaws and ruthless chaos, not in silent reflection or philosophical introspection. Speaking openly about Bruce Lee's profound teachings risked alienating certain fans, confusing the public accustomed to a certain narrative, undermining the ferocity that defined Tyson's personal brand. He knew the stakes perfectly. He knew how the media and public could interpret vulnerability as fragility. So he kept his truth preciously, like a sacred secret, a personal conviction protected from outside eyes. He watched in silence as fans and critics debated endlessly, speculating on impossible hypothetical duels, discussing the legitimacy of Lee's style, often reducing the man to a simple cultural icon or screen legend. The myth grew, mixed with exaggerations, half-truths, and profound misunderstandings. But now, everything changes. At 58 years old, Mike Tyson finally breaks this silence heavy with decades. He reveals absolutely everything and literally leaves fans around the world completely stunned. For so many years, Bruce Lee has been dismissed by many as just a movie star, a martial icon whose greatest fights belonged only to the silver screen, not to the gritty reality of professional combat sports. Then came the moment that shocked absolutely everyone. In a rare, frank admission of brutal honesty, Mike Tyson ended all pretense and revealed his deepest respect as well as his own reckoning with Bruce Lee's immense legacy. Bruce was a killer. His words struck like true thunder in the combat world. Coming from Mike Tyson, a man universally known for his legendary ferocity and devastating striking power, this statement carried absolutely immense weight, far beyond a simple polite compliment. It was a recognition of something primal, something terrifying. Tyson didn't mean that Bruce Lee was just a talented martial artist or a charismatic icon appreciated by the public. He meant it literally, in the most concrete and brutal sense of the term. Bruce Lee was a killer, a man who studied the human body not to entertain crowds or perform on a film set, but to dismantle it with surgical and ruthless precision. His profound philosophy wasn't to fight elegantly for aesthetics. It was to survive, destroy, and dominate. For Mike Tyson, Bruce Lee wasn't a man satisfied with mastering beautiful forms or creating impressive choreography. He was a true predator who put potentially lethal philosophies and intentions into practice. Bruce was a fighter who possessed precise anatomical knowledge. Where to strike exactly. How to break the human body. How to get out of a confrontation without putting yourself in danger. His technique was neither movie magic nor a legend exaggerated by Hollywood. Tyson saw irrefutable proof in Lee's iron discipline, the absolute intensity of his daily training, the meticulous design of his techniques specifically to end conflicts quickly and decisively. Bruce Lee was a man who, in a real-life or death situation, would do exactly what's needed, without the slightest hesitation, without any mercy. This statement from Tyson was charged with admiration, profound respect, and even a hint of legitimate fear. For so many years, he had kept this truth buried in silence, fully understanding its complexity, but not being ready to share it publicly. Now, he finally says it out loud, and the whole world is listening carefully. But that's not all. Tyson made an even more shocking and deeply personal confession. He stated that Bruce Lee was fundamental to his very understanding of combat. This wasn't a polite statement thrown out for the media. This wasn't sentimental nostalgia for a departed legend. It was deeply personal, a truth that Tyson had carried in silence for decades, now finally exposed to the light of day. In Mike Tyson's voice, you could hear an extremely rare humility for a fighter whose entire reputation rested on ferocity and absolute domination. He spoke not as a boxer addressing a simple fan, but as a warrior recognizing another warrior. The man so many people thought was just an actor turned out to be something much more significant and profound. A truly revolutionary spirit who literally reshaped the very essence of modern combat. At that precise moment, all doubts flew away. The illusion that raw strength and physical power alone defined a true fighter completely dissolved. Tyson reminded us all that martial arts is infinitely more than muscle and mass. Its philosophy, surgical precision, relentless strategy, and tactical intelligence. Mike Tyson's rise was forged in the harshest imaginable environments. Dangerous streets, ruthless gyms, fights where survival was literally all that mattered. His journey is a living testimony to raw power, relentless aggression, and an almost supernatural ability to physically and psychologically dismantle his opponents. Yet, in Bruce Lee, Tyson discovered something profoundly different but equally powerful and dangerous. Bruce Lee was a warrior whose entire doctrine rested on maximum efficiency, the ruthless economy of movement, specifically designed to maximize inflicted damage while minimizing personal risks. A fighter who never wasted energy or precious time, but who always struck with surgical precision and absolutely hypnotic fluid grace. Bruce Lee moved exactly like the water he took in his philosophy. Always adaptable, never predictable, totally devastating. Mike Tyson's public revelation went infinitely beyond simple respect between athletes. It was a true sincere tribute, a profound salute, a solemn and funeral recognition to a man who had fundamentally transformed combat, not by the raw number of fights won in an official ring, but by the way he completely changed the very conception of what combat is. Mike Tyson didn't need to physically enter a ring with Bruce Lee to understand his greatness. He had absolutely nothing to prove through direct physical confrontation, because true fighters, true warriors, immediately recognize the authenticity and lethal spirit of each other. And now, the whole world finally knows what Mike Tyson has always known in his heart from the beginning. Mike Tyson never, at any moment, doubted Bruce Lee's absolute greatness. He was simply patiently waiting for the right moment to reveal this truth that so many people were too blind, too stubborn or too closed-minded to see. Bruce was a killer. Period. So now, it's your turn to participate in this conversation. I really want to know your honest opinion. Do you think Bruce Lee could have completely changed modern boxing if he had lived much longer? Would his influence have been even more massive? Share absolutely all your thoughts in the comments just below. And above all, tell me where you're watching this video from. From which country are you connected right now? I'm really interested to know who makes up my community so I can adapt my content even better to your tastes and expectations. Write it all in the comments. Also subscribe if you haven't already, and especially activate the little notification bell to not miss any of my upcoming videos on combat and sports legends. And if you really loved this content, share this video massively with all your friends passionate about combat sports, boxing, or martial arts. The more we are in this community, the more I can offer you incredible revelations like this one. Thank you infinitely for watching this video with me until the end. See you very soon for another explosive revelation. See you soon.